Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you watch this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. I want to take a quick second to say thank you to all the channel members. Thank you, and thank you to all of you who found your way in here to check out the knife and EDC content. Today, I am going to continue my collection dive, and I'm going to start with case number 2. It is kind of like my higher end imported knives. And it'll be about 4 videos in case number 2, and I'll try to run them in sequence. I might throw in a video to break them up. Last time I ran them in sequence, but I will put them, even if they're not in sequence, I will put them all in a playlist called Collection 2024. But starting out on the back row, I have the Chavez Redencion Street. Now this is the smaller bladed Chavez. It's got a deep hollow ground M390 blade. It's got titanium frame lock. It has a G10 show side scale. This is also available in carbon fiber, and I think it's also available in full tie. I like the G10. It's a little bit lighter. This knife has stunning detent, very snappy. I love the drop point blade because it's a compound grind. You've got this deep hollow. You've got this nice detailing on the swedges. Perfect jimping, not too aggressive. And a really comfortable clip. I don't feel it. This is the controversial Chavez skull clip. And this was one of the first times that they offered a replacement clip that I still have in the box. I've never even taken it out. That's not a skull. The downside of that is you've got these screws going through his eyebrows, which I think kind of sucks. I think they should have just stuck with the skull. But this is a thick, thick knife, guys. But it is a hollow grind. And even though that blade stock is chunky, this guy will cut. So a great knife. A little chunk of a knife, drop shutty. I can reverse flick it. It does take some effort in terms of thumb power, not thumb power, but middle finger power to get the middle finger flick, because you've got to push up and out. But I love this little knife. It's a fantastic one, and it is the first knife from case number 2. So moving on, we come to a knife I traded for not too long ago. This is a knife I'd wanted for quite a while. This is the Bestech OEM'd TW Price Dawn V1. The V1 is going to be set aside because it's a frame lock, not a liner lock. You've got this nice top flipper, front flipper. You've got an M390 blade, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 20 CV. It is kind of a stonewash finish. Super therapeutically thin and slicey. You've got this titanium handle with a great deep carry clip. To me, this is kind of a quintessential EDC knife. Office carry, urban carry, a knife that really does most things that I need it to do. I wouldn't consider it a hard use knife, like for prying or anything like that, but I really don't recommend knives for that. Fixed blades, things like that that are a little chunkier. But this TW Price Dawn is an absolute winner. It is a minimalistic knife, 2 titanium scales and the blade. Fantastic ergonomics. It's on skiffs. You know I'm not a front flipper guy. However, this knife front flips very well. I'll probably throw it out of my hand, but I can even do the reach around even though it's not comfortable. But I like it because you can flick the fuller with a reverse finger flick. Fits my hand like a glove. Medium-sized knife, just to give you an idea. I think it's going to be about the size of a bug out. Maybe a little longer. Maybe just an 1/8 of an inch, about the same size of a bug out, we'll say. But this is the TW Price Dawn. It's the second knife in our import case, which takes us to number 3. I think we've got 11 in this first video. And this is the OEM'd Berg Blades Slim. I picked this knife specifically out because I loved the tumbled bolster, I loved the tumbled blade, and I really like this unique, what I consider this flowery fat carbon. This knife, OEM by Riot, it has phenomenal action, has a great finger hole. It's a small little guy. However, I can get a full 4 on the grip. I've got a wonderful sharpening choil. I've got this tall flat ground blade that, I mean, is a slicer. I love this knife. But it is, again, we OEM'd. It is 20 CV, I think. Maybe M390. But it is the Berg Blade Slim. These are still available on Berg Blade's site in different finishes, different colors. A great little small EDC cleaver. Really nice, pretty deep carry clip. Comes to about right here. They've got several different carbon fiber patterns. Drop shutty, fantastic detent. Very slicey, and then very substantial. It's got a thicker blade. It would be great for feather sticking. It would be great for, you know, a little bit harder task if you needed to cut some wood or something. But I'm a big fan of the Berg Blades Slim. So moving on, we come to the CKF Custom Knife Factory Evo 3.0 that I picked up from Brother Carco, that has some of Pro X 1840 Brother Bill's custom scales installed. I love this knife. Deep hollow ground, M390 blade, blacked out tie. Some of the droppiest action that I have. Has this tall hollow ground blade that doesn't even make noise. I think I took this down to 16. It wasn't super sharp when I got it. It was sharp, but it just seemed like it could get a lot sharper, and it could. Guys, this is such a great cutter. Great ergonomical knife. Great fidget knife. I think personally it's one of the sexiest knives I've ever seen. I was so stoked to be able to finally get it in my collection. Didn't need it, but really wanted it, and got a good deal on it from a great guy. Thanks, Carco. And this is the Rotten Designs Custom Knife Factory from Russia with Love Evo 3.0 with carbon fiber handles. So moving on, we come to the first Brian Brown knife that's in this case. So, and this is the last or most recent Brian Brown knife that I'd bought because it was on sale at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I think I picked this knife up for $250. This is the Brian Brown Smoky Mountain Knives exclusive Raptor. It is in black titanium and jungleware fat carbon fiber, and the entire front scale is that structural fat carbon fiber. So this knife is very delicate. Not delicate as in flimsy, but very dainty, very light. You've got this deep hollow ground M390 blade. This knife would make for a perfect skinner, perfect hunting knife, perfect EDC knife. It just cuts and cuts and cuts. And it weighs very little. Again, I'm going to guess it's about the same size as that Benchmade bug out. A little bit longer, maybe a ½ inch longer. But what's unique about it is it's got this thin handle, but you've got these high areas up front and in the back, so that it keeps your hand really locked in. And you've got this great jimping. You've got this poon. You've got a deep hollow grind. And you've just got another masterpiece from Brian Brown. And this is the Brian Brown Raptor, the Smoky Mountain Knife Works edition. I love it. One of my favorites. Glad I picked it up when I did, because it was on sale, like I said. And I like the color. It's a little crazy, it's a little whimsical, but it kind of floats my boat. Moving on, we come to the last knife in the back row of the case, and this is my Brian Brown, what was it, Everyday Carry Specialties or something, their special edition of the Yeager M, which was not the most recent version that had the carbon fiber and the bolster lock. This is a frame lock, has micarta, has a black M390 blade. Mine's the flipperless version. One of the best knives in my collection, has fantastic detent, has fantastic ergos, has a deep hollow ground blade that doesn't make any noise when it works its way through material. It's just a slicer. Fantastic knife. I went and wanted to get the black hardware kit, and they were out of the black back spacers and they were out of the black clips. So I picked up the black hardware that was available, and then I got the Zerk kit, which was the pivot collars in Zerk, the back spacer in Zerk, and the clip in Zerk. Make it a little bit unique. Not exactly what I wanted after I modded it, but I like it better than it just being satin. They messed up the hardware from the factory and sent it out without black hardware. So Brian made it right and sent me the right hardware, but they were just out of the back spacers in black. But guys, this is a Yeager M. Anybody who got a recent Yeager, they're just as good. I love this knife. I love the flipperless version. I love the little trapezoidal blade deployment hole because you can grab it anywhere just without thinking about it and give it a good flick. Fantastic knife, the Yeager M, and we will move on. So we're getting to the second to the back row, and we'll start with the Liong Mah Field Duty Folder. Absolutely love this knife. My only complaint is the blade hole. I can get my finger through there. It does not stop the blade from opening because it's that dialed. But I like a knife where I can push my finger up to it and get some traction, but I can't get through it. This blade's very easy to deploy, even if I go hot dog down the hallway. But if I keep my finger consciously on the outside of the blade, I can flick it from anywhere. It does have a top flipper too. I hate top flippers, and since they tightened up the detent, you've got to be really good at top flipping to get it, but it has got a snappy deployment. S90V blade, Arctic fat carbon, full tie back spacer, titanium bolsters, liner lock, absolute scalpel, and a full-size knife. 3.5-inch blade, contoured handles, super comfortable in hand. One of my absolute favorites, and that is the Liong Mah Field Duty Folder. Just an absolute winner. So as we're in here to Liong Mah Corner, we got a couple of more to look at real quickly. And these are earlier knives from my collection, but they've stuck around for the right reason because they're great knives. This is a newer knife to my collection, which I'd always wanted. I'd actually wanted the frame lock version. I was afraid it was going to be a little large. Last year at Blade Show, I visited Liong and actually tested this knife for the first time. Fell in love with it. But what really made me fall in love with it was this knife. This is my OG Liong Mah Field Duty EDC. So this is the smaller version, or the EDC version, of the Field Duty Folder. They look a little different because this blade's larger and has the swedge, but the Field Duty Folder is different in a lot of ways. It is G10 also. It has a monoblock construction, which means that this front scale and the back spacer are all fused, milled out of one piece of G10. That's then joined with this lanyard tube, stop pin, and hardware to this titanium lock side. This knife has the best detent, the best deployment hole, probably the best knife in my collection. This knife or the Evo are number one. This one is an older knife. I've had it for about 3 years. It has always been my number one up until just recently when I've picked up some bangers that we'll look at. It's got super, super slicey. Thought I felt a little grab in there. Like it may need a little stropping help. It may need a strop, but it is very sharp. I carry it all the time. Field Duty Folder is a small knife. It is 3-inch blade, has a very generous finger choil, very low impact clip. I'm going to say when we're talking about knife sizes, it's going to be a bug out size knife, a little bit thicker. L-Max blade, titanium and G10 handles, skiffs are installed on it, drop shut action, super pokey blade, super slicey blade. Just a winner, guys. That's the Liong Mah Field Duty EDC. We have one more, and that is our Liong Mah KUF Kitchen Utility Folder 3.0, which is a small version. So this is a little knife, a little EDC knife, a little kitchen prep knife. It utilizes the same G10 monoblock construction where you've got your front scale and your back spacer all as one. Joins right there into your frame lock. Got a deployment hole, and you've got this very unique blade, which is kind of a cutting, prepping, dicing, slicing type blade. Super sharp. I want to say this is also L-Max. Yeah, this is L-Max too. And it's called the Liong Mah KUF, which is Kitchen Utility Folder 3.0. And to me, it is a fantastic EDC knife. It's got the same snap as the Field Duty EDC, but it's even a little bit smaller. So if you look at this next to the bug out, this is probably going to be just a little bit shorter than the bug out, which it is. But if you look at your handle area, you've got just about as much grip with the Kitchen Utility Folder, the KUF, as you do with the Benchmade. I love, love, love Liong Mah design knives. I'm a huge fan. The KUF is a great one. Both of them have these bald pocket clips, titanium. Super, super ergonomical handles, super slicey blades. Made not only for food prep, but for EDC use. I love this knife, and this is the KUF 3.0. So moving on, we're coming down to our last two in case number one. And guys, this is probably one of the first expensive knives, over $200, that I bought. And this is the Arcform Slimfoot. I picked this up from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It's Riot OEM'd. It is a Tough Knives collaboration, Jeff Blavet. Super, super knife. Has a thicker blade, has a sheep's foot looking blade that's super, super slicey, but it's super hollow ground. Nice thick profile up here with a swedge. You've got this micarta and titanium with a titanium frame lock. Drop shut. Flipper deployment, but it is a small low profile flipper. The jimping does go all the way around, so you can push button it or you can light switch it, whichever you prefer. It does not have enough area for me to get in to that fuller. I wish it did. But the Arcform Slimfoot has stayed in my collection for a while. I find it a very elegant knife. It is very well done, well put together, easy to take apart, easy to maintain, and just an absolute joy. Perfectly centered. I love the textured backspacer. I just think it looks really cool. I love the blade shape of the knife. This is going to be more PM2 sized. You've got this stonewash on the flat. You've got this satin up here, or stonewash on the hollow. You got this satin and stonewash on the swedge. It's a heavier knife because it is solid tie. It doesn't have any weight relief, but I like that. It feels good. It feels good in hand, feels good when you put it to task, feels good in pocket, and I really like it. It's the Arcform Slimfoot, and that is the second to the last knife in the first part of case 2, which brings us to the last knife in case number 2. And guys, this knife I bought kind of on a check it out, see what it's about, and I can tell you this knife is fantastic. It is the Arcform Theory. It's got a super slicey blade. It's got these very unique thumb studs that have jimping that allows you, wherever you catch them with either finger, you're going to get a good deployment. You've got a decent sharpening choil. You've got a finger choil. Very aggressive but not uncomfortable jimping that starts there on the handle, goes up on the blade. Fantastic access to the lock bar. Drop shut action. Dead nut centered. And again, when you look at these studs, whether I flick it from the front, whether I thumb flick it from the bottom, whether I just reach up and reverse flick it, it's coming open. The detent is dialed. It again is a full-size knife, so it's going to be closer to our PM2. But guys, this again is a therapeutic slicer. M390. Super thin. Great blade geometry. Great factory edge. Whoops. Just an absolute winner, guys. The Arcform Theory. I like this knife a lot more than the Slimfoot, only because it gives me more deployment options, multiple deployment options. Uh-oh, my B-up moved. I'm going to have to move it here in a second anyway. So guys, the first part of case number 2, which are the imports, are the Arcform Theory, the Arcform Slimfoot, the Liong Mah KUF 3.0 in LMAX, the Liong Mah Field Duty EDC in LMAX, the Liong Mah Field Duty Folder in S90V, Brian Brown Yeager, Brian Brown Raptor, and then we have our CKF Something Obscene Company Evo 3.0. We have got our Berg blades Slim. We have got our TW Price Dawn. And finally, our Chavez Redencion Street. So guys, that is the first of 4 videos they'll take up and cover case number 2. I will upload this so it'll be ready for you guys on, I think, Sunday, and it'll also go in the playlist with the others. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you found it informative. I hope you're enjoying peeking into my cases. We've got a lot to go. Then we've got slip joints and fixed blades. So if y'all continue to like this, I don't mind making the videos. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're here, it's one of your first times or you come back through and you're so inclined, please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon. And please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your hearts and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.